Continuing now with our coverage of the execution of Saddam Hussein, which is expected to happen in the next 90 minutes or so. Some believe it's not a great move or won't benefit us very much. Joining us now from Washington, retired Air Force Colonel P.J. Crowley. Now, I know you don't have any objection to killing him, but
not at all.
You told us, our producer, that Osama bin Laden will cheer, and so will Iran, when Saddam gets hanged. Explain it.
Well, bin Laden, in looking at the leaders in the Middle East, considers Saddam Hussein an apostate leader. So he wants to see Saddam gone just as much as anybody else. The folks next door in Iran, for example, obviously Saddam fought brutal war with Iran during the 1980s. They have no love lost there. That's one of the reasons why they're trying to extend their influence into Iran with the new government. So I think there'll be some sighs of relief, in places like Iran, even in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, because of what Saddam did.
Well, certainly Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, but look, sure. This psychologically is a victory for the United States in a campaign where, for the last year or so, there's been very few. Because if we removed this guy. I mean, if you remember, before the war, in the run-up to the war, he basically gave the middle digit to us and the whole world. Saying, I'm going to do what I want. I'm not letting inspectors in. I'm not going to do anything. You guys, I've violated 17 UN resolutions, and I'll violate 17 more if you don't like it. Tough. All right? This is a victory for the United States. I don't know if bin Laden and Iran are going to be employed in a victory for the United States.
Well, I think, obviously this is an important milestone for the United States, an important milestone for Iraq. I think it's come at a very significant cost, which it's a separate issue. But I don't know that this changes the dynamic in terms of the growing anti-Americanism in the Middle East. And so I think, a lot of people will breathe a sigh of relief. A lot of people will use the Saddam death as a means to, he's a guy that stood up to the United States. Of course, he lost in the long run, but they'll use that to their advantage.
I really don't understand the growing anti-Americanism in the Middle East. I don't get this at all. And I don't even know if it's true. I think it may be a fabrication of the left-wing media, but I don't want to be paranoid. If you have a choice between the United States and Britain and Saddam controlling your country, I think any sane person takes the United States and Britain. Do they not?
Well, yeah, except...
Do they not?
The Middle East is a very emotional place. And I think there are a lot of people that look at the United States. What have you done for me lately? There's not a peace process right now.
Let's walk through it rationally. I don't want to talk about pie in the sky. And you got a choice. You got Saddam killing probably 1 million people, invading Kuwait, killing Iranians, killing Kurds. And you got the United States and Britain basically say, here's an election. Go vote. We're good guys. We want you to have a nice life. So who are you going to pick? All right, so the left-wing media demonizes us, and so does the Arab media, the al-Qaeda sympathizers. So you got that combination of, in the United States, the anti-Bush hater left-wing media, and you got outside the al-Qaeda lovers combining to demonize the USA and Britain, and it takes on a life of its own. But if you strip away the nonsense, Colonel, if you strip it all away, the choice comes down to Britain and the United States tried to give the Iraqi people a chance at freedom and removed a guy who killed about 1 million human beings.
Well, Bill, I think from our standpoint, you're looking at it rationally, and that makes sense. But now you have to look at it from their standpoint, and they feel oppressed, they feel humiliated.
Oppressed by whom?
Well, they feel that the policies of the United States, I'm not defending this position, I'm just saying...
But this is an irrational position. It's irrational. It's irrational, has no basis in reality. Who's oppressing them? We're not. We're basically trying to have the oil flow to the world uninterrupted. Iran is the threat. We basically want to give the people in Iraq a chance to vote, and, they're blowing people's heads off in the marketplace. Come on.
Well, from their standpoint, we are supporting leaders who are not democratic, who are
not
looking out to the... Well, like Mubarak, like King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia.
And the opposition to them is al-Qaeda.
For your benefit, Bill, I'm trying to portray this from an Arab and Muslim point of view.
It's irrational. It's crazy.
And I don't think that the knocking off Saddam is going to change that perception of anti-Americanism that infused a lot of the violence.
You're right about that. The haters are going to hate, both within this country and without the country. They're going to hate. It's an irrational hatred, both within this country and outside the country. I'll give you the last word, Colonel.
Well, and this is why I think one of the most important things here is what does the Iraqi government do from this point on. I think there is a slight window if they want to do an overture to the Sunni community. Now that Saddam's gone, are you going to continue to fight the new government, or are you going to use this to kind of kick off political reconciliation process.
I'm with you on that, boy.
In Iraq. I hope they take advantage
I hope
of the
they do
opportunity.
something over there, because the Iraqis are going to have to do it for themselves.
We have to change the dynamic.
That's right.
No
We've
question
done
about
quite
it.
enough. And that is for us today. Fox News will continue its special coverage of Saddam's execution with a 90-minute Hannity and Colm.